Hi, this is David Wallman for Overloud.com, and today I'm going to show you how you can control TH3 with a Midi foot controller. In this video, I'm going to be using the Behringer FCB 1010, but you can do this with any foot controller of your choice. Because I want to send MIDI information to the TH3 software from the MIDI controller, I'm going to plug a MIDI cable from the output of my MIDI floorboard to the input of my sound card. Before we start using our MIDI controller with TH3, we need to make sure that the software recognizes the MIDI controller we're using. For that, we're going to go into the settings, audio settings, and we're just going to make sure that the proper MIDI interface is connected. Now that everything is properly connected, we need to teach TH3 what to do with the different MIDI triggers we're going to send it. And for that, we're going to use MIDI bindings. A MIDI binding is basically a connection that is made between a trigger point, your foot on a foot switch, your foot on the expression pedal, your foot anywhere on one of the elements of your floorboard, and one of the elements of the software. And that can be anything you want. We're going to have to basically teach TH3 what to do whenever he gets one of those triggers. And for that, we're going to click on the MIDI option. This will bring up a window, and you're going to see two main types of MIDI bindings. There are MIDI bindings for the current presets and global MIDI bindings. Global MIDI bindings are MIDI connections that are going to work across all the different presets that you have installed on your computer. For example, if we want to assign this expression pedal to a volume pedal, anytime we have a preset with a volume pedal, this particular expression pedal, the one on the right, is going to control the volume pedal. It's very easy to configure a global MIDI binding. For that, in the MIDI options, I'm going to find my volume expression pedal within the big list of different global MIDI bindings that exist. I'm going to click the Learn button, and this is going to basically tell TH3 that I'm about to send it a trigger point. In this case, our expression pedal, the right expression pedal that we want to assign to the volume. I'm going to activate that expression pedal a couple times. And then I'll click this button. Now that we did that, anytime we open a preset that has a volume pedal assigned to it, this particular expression pedal is going to control that volume. Let's try to do the same with a wah, for example. We're going to assign the other expression pedal to a wah pedal. For that, I'm going to go into my global MIDI bindings. I'm going to find the wah expression pedal. Here it is. I'm going to click the Learn button. I'm going to trigger that second expression pedal a couple times. Once I did that, I'm going to click this button. And now, anytime I have a preset with a wah assigned to it, this particular expression pedal is going to control that wah. We just saw how easy it is to configure an expression pedal to control the volume or a wah. It doesn't have to stop there. As a matter of fact, TH3 allows you to control any of its settings with a MIDI foot controller. In the previous examples, we used the full list of MIDI bindings, found the one we wanted to use, and configured our pedal board to respond to that directly within that window. There is a faster and more convenient way, and that's by simply right-clicking on any element of TH3 and assigning the MIDI binding directly within the interface. For example, let's decide to assign this particular switch on our MIDI floorboard to turn an effect on or off. And in this case, we're going to use a tube screamer type of effect, which is the Tube 9 model in TH3. And we're going to use that pedal as a booster, a drive enhancer. And that's going to be useful if, for example, we have a piece of music on which at some point we want to add even more drive for a solo, for example. So I've got a patch here loaded up, kind of a bluesy patch. The method is exactly the same. We're going to teach TH3 what to do whenever it gets that trigger point, in this case, that particular switch. So on our presets, we're going to right-click on the element we want to control. In this case, it's the on and off switch of the tube 9 pedal that we have. I'm going to right-click on that. And in this case, I want to assign to that switch a global MIDI binding. So I'm going to select Learn Global MIDI. That's going to put TH3 in learning mode. It's going to wait for the trigger. And then I'm going to activate my pedal switch on my floorboard. Then I'll click OK, and that's all I have to do. Now, whenever I hit that switch on my floorboard, it's going to turn the effect on or off. The interesting thing here is that the MIDI binding is not assigned to the tube 9 per se, but it is assigned to any overdrive pedal you have. So if you have a preset that has another type of overdrive, that MIDI binding is still going to turn that overdrive on or off. You'll find within the global MIDI bindings a list of the most commonly used MIDI trigger points. And that's a great way to get started to program your MIDI controller with TH3. But now let's say that we have one particular preset that has a pitch shifter, a Whammy pedal, for example. And there's only one of these presets that are going to use in a particular song. So you want to assign one of these expression pedals to that Whammy pedal, but you don't want to use a global MIDI binding for that because you only have one preset. It's a very unique use, and you still want to reserve that expression pedal for one of the global MIDI bindings that you have, for example, the wah. For that, I'm going to use a very special type of MIDI binding, and that's going to be a MIDI binding that is going to be assigned to a particular preset, the preset we're on. To do that, I'm going to right-click on the element of TH3 that I want to control with my expression pedal. And instead of clicking on the Learn Global MIDI binding, which is already assigned to something else, I'm going to click on Learn MIDI for current preset. This will assign this particular expression pedal for the Whammy within this particular preset. But anytime on a different preset, that expression pedal is going to control what I configured it for within the global MIDI bindings. If you want to clear and delete a previously entered MIDI binding, it's very easy. Just click on the MIDI option and simply hit the clear button near the MIDI binding you wish to delete. As you saw in this video, it's very easy to configure a MIDI foot controller with TH3. You can now trigger effects on and off with your feet. You can control volumes, wahs with expression pedals. And that also means that you can now take TH3 with you in rehearsals or in gigs. Just bring a laptop with TH3 installed, a MIDI foot controller of your choice, and just plug straight into the PA. You're going to get killer tone all the time. All those tones that you spend time creating in your home studio are going to be very accurate because they're exactly the same. Just plug straight into the PA. You're going to sound great. You're going to love it. I love TH3. I think you will too. You should definitely check it out. Thanks for watching this video.